Galnet News Digest Review of the Year 3307. The Alliance was working away quietly during 3307, extending its influence diplomatically and expanding into areas with unique resources and xenological opponents. It continued its partnership with the Sirius Corporation, as did a rather unlikely newcomer to the diplomatic scene, Archon Delane, the Pirate King. It was Sim Guru Pranavantal of the Utopia Commune who came up with the idea of a Galactic Summit, but it was Lee Yong-rui and the Sirius Corporation that made it happen. Sirius offered a neutral place for galactic leaders to discuss, as the Sim Guru put it, the four dark horsemen: interstellar war, terrorism, alien incursion, and economic collapse. The great and good of galactic politics duly turned up for a month-long summit in Sirius. The great and the good did not include the Emperor, but she did send her Chancellor, Anders Blaine, Princess Aisling Duval, and Senator Denton Petraeus. The new Marlinist colonies sent First Minister Jenna Fairfax and Minister Aaron White, who would later lead the unsuccessful attempt to politicise the NMLA. President Hudson and Shadow President Winters both attended, as did the new Federal Ambassador to the Alliance, Jasmina Halsey. Winters did not invite Shadow Vice President Isolde Rochester to attend, in the wake of the arrest of her son, Jupiter. Prime Minister Edmund Mahon caused unrest in the Alliance by postponing the prime ministerial election for 3 months, so it would not coincide with the summit. For Mahon, the key talking point was Thargoids. The Alliance, more than any of the powers, had expanded into areas rich in Thargoid barnacle sites in order to harvest the Thargoid meta-alloys, and the Alliance, more than any of the powers, was suffering attacks by Thargoids. The only place it had not suffered attacks from Thargoids, despite their abundance there, was the California Nebula, which is a demonstration that if you only build outposts and surface bases, the Thargoids won't be any trouble at all. The most significant treaty signed at the summit was the Cornelius-Lasky Convention, by which the 3 superpowers agreed to share information about large-scale threats to civilization. Mahon hoped to build on this through his draft Sirius Treaty for increased cooperation against the Thargoid threat by revitalizing Aegis through proper funding. The treaty was never signed, following the abrupt ending to the summit a week earlier than planned. A surprise, and for some unwelcome visitor at the summit, was Archon Delane, head of the Kumo crew, widely believed to be a dread pirate and an all-round nasty piece of work. Some of the delegates' security details offered to dispose of Delane and his boarding party, only to be reminded by their host that all delegates were entitled to diplomatic immunity. Delane proclaimed that he wished to become a respected member of the trading community, and that he wanted to be known as King Kumo. The summit ended early because of the security crisis caused by the 9 Martyrs bombings on the 11th of March. However, both Mahon and Delane left the summit with the promise of closer cooperation with the Sirius Corporation. Sirius subsidiary, Sirius Atmospherics, had already assisted the Alliance expansion into the Muscadart region, but this was an opportunity for even further expansion. Archon Delane was first to benefit. Sirius assisted in building 5 new starports in locations as far apart as the California Nebula and Colonia. In each case, Sirius retained a presence in the newly commissioned stations, and there was at least a hint that the collaboration would go further. Early in July, a dredger owned and run by the Blue Viper Club turned up at one of the Kumo crew's new starports. They had developed a new wonder drug called Helix, and they wanted Delane to help them market it. Analysis of the drug showed that it was a new variant of the galaxy's narcotic of choice, Onion Head. This new easy-to-grow variant of Onion Head could be grown in specialised facilities in Anarchy systems around the galaxy, so it would not be a rare good. There were strong rumours that Sirius Logistics were behind the manufacture and distribution of this new drug, and that Delane was only the front man. But Sirius and the Kumo crew didn't get it all their own way. Once the Interstellar Health Organization had verified that onion head gamma strain had genuine medicinal uses, Neo Medical Industries won the right to manufacture and distribute the drug for medicinal use from several industrial economies in Alliance space. Regardless of its reason for purchase, onion head gamma strain remains illegal in the Federation, Empire, and in some Alliance systems. It is known to be used widely for recreational purposes, including by wealthy and influential people in Federal and Imperial society. Before the Alliance could benefit from Sirius's helping hand, Mahan had first to win that delayed prime ministerial election. His opponent, Councillor Nakato Kane, believed that the Alliance should concentrate on the well-being of its core systems and should abandon its expansion into Thargoid territory. Had she won the election, then the Alliance might have withdrawn from the outlying nebulae and from conflict with the Thargoids. But despite significant unrest in some Alliance systems caused by Mahan's questionable postponement of the election, members of the Alliance Assembly voted him in for a second term, the only serving Prime Minister ever to be re-elected. Apparently celebrating Mahan's victory, Sirius Corporation made a highly engineered, detailed surface scanner available for all to buy at human technology brokers across the galaxy. As with the pre-engineered frameshift drive that they financed at the end of February, Sirius may also have been courting the favour of independent commanders. Despite his electoral success, Mahan failed to get anything like enough financial backing from the market to build his 5 planned starports, receiving only just enough funding for one. So there was surprise when he announced the opening of 2 starports. Until, that is, it became apparent that Sirius Corporation hadn't just helped set up the second New Alliance starport, Prosperity Core. It had funded it entirely. In return, it benefited from a long-term presence at the starport. Mahan's opponents have suggested that the Prime Minister may have unfulfilled obligations to Sirius after this helping hand. Sirius may seem to be a generous benefactor to the Kumo crew and the Alliance, but it is also, slowly but surely, increasing its hold over the galaxy, and is close to becoming the 4th superpower.